what's a better way to do badminton racket review than actually at a badminton tournament? So I am here at the Horse Bay Master Tournament, and I'm gonna put these Thruster F claw rackets for the test for the first time. So these are the beautiful new Thruster FC, so Thruster F claw. I don't know what F stand for, but I know C stand for claw. Such a unique concept. 3 weights, 3U, 4U, and 5U, with 3 different diameter shafts, and each one come with a slightly weight distribution. So I almost feel like I am making 3 videos of 3 different rackets all combined to one video. That's how unique this is, and I absolutely love them. So first, let's talk about the design. Personally, I love the design. So as you can see, most people who've seen this racket, their first initial thought would be, hey, that looks like the 88D second version. And I can't argue with you that one. So the 88D tend to be a little bit more greenery than yellow, while this one here is definitely a lot more yellow and golden than the green. So it's slightly glossy and quite sparkly. That gold is quite sparkly, and I quite like it. And there's a black and green around the frame. You know, when you see someone, like when I land this racket to someone and when they play on court, it just looks really, really sparkly, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, so overall, I think the design is not bad. So in my next game, I am going to use the 5U. Which one is the 5U? I think it's this one. This one is the 5U with only 5.6 diameter shaft. The 4U, which I think might be this one, my eyesight's really bad. The 4U come with 5.8 mil diameter shaft, and the 3U, which is like, I feel like it's a tank, is a 6 mil diameter shaft. There's a couple changes in the behavior with those changes in shaft. Firstly, it's the stiffness. On each racket, there's an indicator of the shaft stiffness, which is here. So on the 3U, it is super stiff. And as you go down, so if I lay it up, so 3U at the top, which is right almost at the end of the scale for stiff, and then 4U drop a little bit lower, and 5U drop a little bit lower still. But even the 5U is still towards the stiffer end of the rating. So beside the actual shaft thickness and the flexibility of the shaft, the other big difference between the racket is actually got to do where the handle meets the shaft. So as you can see, this here is a 3U. The 3U contains the Power Ring Pro, and you can see the big orange part down here. The 4U had a tiny amount of orange in there, which is a power ring, and the 5U doesn't have the power ring at all. So that's why the 5U tend to be a lot more flexible, while the 3U tend to play a little bit more stiff. The power ring basically allow the handle and the shaft to almost act as one, and allow to give you much transfer of power into the racket when you swing. And so that's why the feel of the racket even more stiff with the power ring. But it's beautiful control. There's no vibration in it at all. So the thruster tend to be power rackets, and they tend to be slightly heavy. Personally, I feel that it's kind of heavy all around, especially for the 3U. I feel when you pick up the racket, it's very strange. Like, not all 3U feel the same. The way you feel of it when you pick up the racket, the feel of it when you swing as well. I feel this, the moment you pick up the 3U, you feel like you need to work out. you need to start pumping up some iron just to pick up the racket, let alone play with it. It is so heavy to swing through, and it just, like I can imagine my shoulder, I'm going to end up in hospital by playing with this racket. In terms of hitting feel, I feel there's a great balance between the hold and the repulsion. So the drive extra is a lot more muted kind of feel. There's a bit more hold in there. While this one, you can feel a bit more repulsion coming out of it, but it doesn't like ping coming out. So I like the feel of this racket actually quite a lot. So something like the 88D third generation, I feel the repulsion coming out that racket probably too much for my liking. I like a bit of softer feel, and I think this racket has quite a nice balance between repulsion and softer feel, or the repulsion in the whole. So all these rackets, I believe they have strung with the VVS 66N. So these have all been pre-strung before Victor sent it to me. Sorry, I just realized we did put stencil on this, but obviously the stencil have rub off on all of them. I need to learn to do a better job at stenciling the racket. Sorry, Victor. Oh, this is heavy. Sorry. So once you clip this racket over, It's the weight, the head weight will actually take care of itself, but to generate the initial speed is hard. This racket is not built for driving. I'm having workout already. Okay, stop. So much lighter. There we go. So much easier to swing. But I feel it's a little bit heavy for my liking. Okay, just finished my game. So as you can see, I warm up with the 3U, and oh my god, the 3U is probably a good racket to warm up because it's really tiring you out. Like driving, this racket, I'm not strong enough to use it for drive. It's just so slow. I mean, you can do it, you know, if you're good enough, you can still adapt to it. But for me, I feel like, sure, I can get power out of this racket, but I just feel like I want to be really sore playing with it. So certainly if you're a stronger person who have really good technique, I do think I think this racket, the 3U would probably suit either someone with really good technique, they're able to whip through and use a whole body and a whole body kinetic chain to swing, or someone probably a lower level who tend to swing with a whole arms like this, where the weight of the racket would probably lend itself to that kind of big swing quite beautifully. But you still need to be a pretty big and strong person to able to swing this racket. So I don't think this suits a lower level play at all. I think you need a pretty strong, physically strong, as well as quite good skills, swinging skill to actually utilize this racket. When I smash, sometimes when I do connect and swing really well, there's a huge amount of power that comes through. Don't get me wrong. When you're able to connect with this racket, like my friend Joe, when he smashed with this racket, the shuttle just doesn't stop. It just comes at you and it just hits you like a tank. It just doesn't stop. So you really feel the speed of the shuttle. You know, we talk about smash, you got hard smash and fast smash. Hard smash is when the shuttle comes to you, even when you're able to defend the shuttle, it still kind of hit you like this. So that's what a hard smash is. And I think this racket really suits players who can do hard smash. Joe, you know, he's pretty tall and he's pretty strong. And even with his skill, he can still get some pretty good angle on it when he actually get this timing right. It's really great for powerful player. With the 4U, when you pick up the 4U, you certainly can feel the difference in weight immediately. Nice, strong, steady in the hand. For me anyway, I can definitely start driving with this racket a lot more. In terms of like swing and power, I find this racket will probably the one that suits most players. It's not too heavy, there's still plenty of power for you to swing without demanding too much on the body. You can definitely feel the head heaviness of this racket when you swing in terms of overhand. See, even the dry swing, I can feel that weight of the head dragging my arms down afterwards. Like you actually need quite a bit of force in your hand to actually stop the racket momentum because of the head heavy. So those who like head heavy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's still fast enough to do driving. Not as fast as some of the nicer, speedier racket like in the Aura Speed, like in the Phantom or the Drive X12. But this racket actually had more power than the Drive X12, but only if you can generate the racket speed. So remember, you know, people talk about like head weight being like more powerful racket and things like that, but it only works if you can generate the racket speed. And it needs good technique and really good utilization of your body and the connected chain in order to swing. But if you do like this, if you're the kind of person that like hand heavy, don't go for these rackets. It's just gonna ruin your shoulder and your forearms even more, okay? So make sure you have really good swing before you can even consider any heavy racket, let alone this one. I find this is a racket that I can play with. If I was stronger, I probably enjoy this even more. In driving, I could feel a bit of a delay in the hand because of the flexibility of the shaft. So remember, even when I say flexibility, this is still rated between medium and stiff, right? So it's still a reasonably stiff shaft. So, but I could still feel the bounciness of the frame. You can see there, right? You can see how much it actually bounced back compared to the 3U. So the 3U is very, very stiff. While this, the 4U is bound, and the 5U, really bounce. So the 4U is actually not a bad racket, and it just feels really nice when you connect the shuttle. And because it's not too heavy, I can get the angle pretty nicely or pretty comfortably with the 4U. So I do love the 4U. I do wish I was a little bit stronger and honestly, and probably a little bit taller, then I probably can utilize this head heaviness even more. Which brings me to my favorite, the 5U. And this is why I feel this racket, the Thrust, the F Claw, is such a unique racket. Because I feel like 3U, 4U, and 5U suits 3 different players. It's not like it suits one player, but depending on, you know, your bodies and your physicality, whether you through 3U, 4U, or 5U, it actually suits 3 different kind of people. So this racket here, when you pick it up, it's light as a feather, but yet because being head heavy, you could, like in your mind, you know there's power there waiting for you to use when you want it. But if you don't need it, it's lightning fast, right? I normally play with a 3U racket, so I think most of my rackets are 3U. I don't think any rackets 4U. So I'm used to the weight of the 3U because I'm quite, you know, I'm quite a good player and I have quite a good swing. So to my surprise, I can't handle that. I can't handle the 3U in this, but I love the 5U. I never thought I could say I love a 5U before. So the kids have the Nanoflare 170 and 5U, nice and light, great for kids who are just beginning, you know, who's starting out. And the racket, that racket has no power at all. Like even I cannot clear from end to end with that racket. But this racket, you can. Like it's so weird for me to tell you that there's so much power in a 5U racket. When it comes to double, I love rushing to the net. I love killing. I love controlling the net and get the lift. And this racket is light enough to allow me to do this and play front court and drive, right? But when the shuttle go up, I can just relax, and just basically just squeeze through at the last minute, and I can feel the head weight just flip over and punch into a shuttle, and I can get quite a good racket head speed with this 5U racket. So, such a weird thing for me to say that the 5U is actually my favorite in the Thruster F Claw, and I actually really enjoy playing with this. Between this and the Drive X12, the Drive X12 is kind of like smoother overall. While this one here, you know, like with the Drive X12, I have in 3U. So when I walk around, I can feel the weight, I can feel the sturdiness of the racket. This 5U is something you have to get used to because like in a way, when you just walk around, you feel like you're holding a toy because it is so light, the frame is so thin that you feel like surely this doesn't have any power at all. But when you start using it, you suddenly realize the potential it holds. So you have to kind of like get used to the fact that you're holding a super light racket, but also a really great weapon if you can use it correctly. And I find the 5U suits my style so much. And a friend of mine, he has a really strong smash, probably bigger, taller than me, not much, physically bigger than me, and yet he loves the 5U as well. He loves the fact that he can just whip through, you know, when he wants to, but everything else is nice and light. Yeah, who do I think will suit this racket? The 3U, definitely someone who's more powerful, great techniques, who tend to be more aggressive with their game. I don't think this racket is suitable for people who enjoy playing in the front net or people who enjoy the fast game, unless you're just super good and really amazing and have lots of powers and able to feel like you're holding a feather. Unlike me, I feel I'm holding a tank. There's certainly the power is definitely there when you want it. This racket doesn't really suit people who like to play front court, doesn't suit people who like the faster game, unless you are physically strong enough to whip this racket through with your fingers. 4U is way easier to handle, way easier to handle. And it's a great all-rounder racket, I feel. There's enough speed there. It still certainly demands quite a bit of physicality to actually to able to swing. But it's light enough that you can handle your fast game and your net play, right? And your drive, if you want to as well, okay? And there's enough power for you to use, but you really still need really good connected chain to able to swing this racket. For me, something like a stick smash, it is still a little bit heavy for me to able to do a stick smash. And this is what I love, the next one, which is the 5U. So I feel the 5U is an amazing racket that's going to suit so many players. From beginner, they love light racket. They love the fact they can be nice and fast, but so when they do big swing like this, it doesn't hurt their elbow or shoulder at all. So I lent this racket to a gentleman, Richie. He's quite a bit older than me. Lots of grey hair. Sorry, Richie, but it's true. Lots of grey hair. And he normally plays with a headlight racket because he has sore elbow. So when he played with the 5U, it was the first time he played with a head-heavy racket. And he couldn't believe that he was doing more smash than he normally used to. And after the game, he said he had no pain at all. He was just so surprised that he could play with a head-heavy racket and not feel pain. So that's why I love this racket. And I reckon as I get older and older, I'm gonna love this racket more and more. Nice and light, everything is there for me to play my fast and soft game at the net, but the power is there for me to smash. See, like it's really weird. When the shuttle go up and I'm ready for the smash, I know that even though I feel like I'm holding nothing, but the power will be there when I'm able to flick through. The other thing that I love about this racket is my ability to do stick smash, right? So things like, or like just a really nice fast slice, it doesn't need any effort at all. It's just let that finger do the work, flip the racket over, and boom, you do a beautiful fast drop. So I can't say enough how much I love the 5U. Certainly, if you're interested in the thruster F claw, because of the different characteristics and the playability in each of the 3U, 4U, and 5U, you really kind of need to go out and try it for yourself. It's such a unique racket. It honestly is 3 rackets in one color scheme design. You know what I mean? It suits everybody depending on which weight you go. And I can't wait for what Victor will do next in the next racket, whether they will continue this kind of system of different shaft diameter. We'll see, because I know in the Drive X12, the original Drive X12, the shaft thickness is actually thicker and stiffer than the Zhang Shui version. So mind you though, that Zhang Shui version was specifically designed for Zhang Shui liking. So that was tailor-made to how he liked it, which is, balanced and really whippy. So it's really interesting that Victor can actually modify each racket, have different playability, but still similar concept in design. So yeah, I can't wait to see what Victor, if Victor continue with this scheme in other rackets, or this is going to be a one-off. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I love this racket. I love the 5U. There will be a racket in this range to suit your kind of game. Hope you like the content. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.